you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight. Tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly succeed in attaining all and that which is your need? To be heard by the real answerer of all deeds, the true hearer of all whom pleads. Who of you really want to bow down to the true King of Kings commanding the crown? To worship the one that ever rules alone, commanding everything of creation from the seat of its throne.
The calm before the storm. I'm your host, Mr. A.H.A.D, and with me we have Holy-Apostle Deen Saleem, the Holy Queen Mother Rabbi Saleem. Now, Jesus peace, another blessing about your collective. Man, we want to thank you for joining our program. We want to hope you've been enjoying all that you've been hearing thus far. Our Lord has graced us with so much of this information that the Lord has given this messenger, this man here, and it's a true gift from the Lord that is given this because we could be raised up, being freed up from the devil, from the mindset, the slave mentality the Lord had the devil been placed upon us. And I want to thank the Lord much for sitting between these two people because they're two individuals that have helped me in my life. A little testimonial before we get started, but of my life and how to be a true man, a true servant, to be a true service to the Lord. And this program being a vehicle of that is only an extension of what the Lord has given us in this community of A.H.A.D, this Holy-Apostle Deen, under this banner of the earth, religion, and truth. With that being said, we're going to touch on something that the Lord Holy-Apostle presented to me a couple of days ago, an article that when I first read it, I might have been a little shocked at first, had not known what the Lord is giving here, this information. But what the Lord is showing us is certainly the violence that is taking place that's in capturing this city of North. But it's nothing new because what the Lord has told us thus far, that this thing will not stop, but will only escalate as time goes on because the people have turned away from the truth, the reality of the Lord being here and him being a sign of that saving grace. And what the Lord has given his people that are in the city to see this violence taking place, if they were waking up or be awakened to the truth that the Lord is sending through him, then they may be saved in this hour of judgment that the Lord is manifesting now. Lord Holy Apostle, that article that you presented to about the stopping the violence.
Yeah, I had this newspaper. Sure. It was dated January 26th, Friday. And it happened to be around, and I don't read the newspaper too much, but I happened to see it in my room, and I see this help wanted sign, this billboard, this article about the Newark teachers sending, is putting this billboard up saying help wanted, stop and killing in Newark now, and they put it in areas where the people that don't live in Newark can see it as they come in Newark. Right. And I guess they must have a few of them around the city. I know it costs a lot of money to do it unless they kind of break to do it, as a city thing. But it reminded me of the Lord telling me to tell the people years ago, back in the 90s, that this thing of the death, this murder, this rage that's going on with the children is not gonna stop. It's not gonna stop it. Only the Lord can stop it. And I was gonna read the article. You could read the article if you want. I don't. Okay. But my thing is, the people need to know now. If they have to have a billboard up, and it's counterproductive to what they want to do. See, they really they're concerned, they got that billboard up because they're concerned about recruiting teachers. Right. Having teachers come to this city. I'm truly against teachers coming to this city. I'm about whoever's in the city being educated properly then to teach the children of their vicinity. You understand? Right. One of the major problems we have as a people, we always get foreigners coming to teach us. And when I say foreigners, what's foreign to me? If I'm born and raised in Newark, I got a teacher that's living in Elizabeth or Hillside or New Brunswick or Livingston coming down to my ghetto and trying to teach me something. You understand? That they, trying to teach me about some other environment or some other, trying to relate to me, and they don't know my real problems because they haven't grown up under my conditions. You understand? Now, I know to some people that might not sound like a good idea, But it is the best idea.
Right.
But it has to start at the grassroots, and it has to be supported and put forth by the government, who has the power to do it.
Right.
See, the government can force the African American people in the urban areas. He could force them to be taught properly.
Okay.
But the government is too involved in wanting to control people, wanting to keep a certain people down. That's the government. You have the religious government and you have the political government, and those two governments working together. You got the military government,
right?
And those three governments working together want to keep a certain people down, and we've known it.
Yeah.
They've always wanted to keep us down as a people, you know. And their children today don't want us to rise. But like I said in other programs, they got a purpose, just like they got a purpose for putting up that sign.
Yeah.
If they could hush what's going on with the killings, then they could get to recruit the teachers to come in here. Then that sign, that billboard wouldn't be up. But Mr. Del Grasso, or whatever his name, DeGrasso, whatever his name is, he wants to get more teachers from out of the city, recruiting them, what they consider good teachers, to come in and teach the children. But like again, I say, I don't think my children should be taught by foreigners. Whether they Caucasians or Hispanics or whatever, from another vicinity, from another thought process system.
Right.
And I think that everybody should have their children taught in that same order.
A lot of people do have that. For example, the Jews, they will have their children only in those.
Well, it's our people who don't, and Hispanics
who don't.
Yeah.
You know, and I brought the paper.
Okay.
And I did read the article, and since we're touching base on that, that's also in mental health as well.
Oh yeah.
And doctors that comes to this town we have the big University of Medicine. We have doctors that don't understand the condition of the people, but they trying to assist them with their mental illnesses.
Right.
You know, and how can I help? It's just like this old saying, if your mother passed away and my mother's still living, I could tell you that I feel bad for you.
And I know how you feel.
But I can't tell you I know how you feel, because I know.
But people say that I know how you feel.
But you don't. You don't know how I feel if you come from one side, live on one side of the track and I live on the other side of the track.
Right.
And you know, how can you relate to anybody's struggle if you never struggled before?
Right. It's just like the SAT tests.
Right.
You know, from way back when they used to give them children a test, if they would give the ghetto children SAT tests involved in what's going on in the streets in the ghettos, they would ace them out.
Right.
You know, but they give them tests that's based on what's going on with Caucasian children and Caucasian livelihoods. And they send this thing all around the country and they act like it's fair. How can I have a fair test if we're not trained equally?
Right.
If we're not taught equally, then we're given a test that we're supposed to equally pass.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? But the bottom line is the injustice that man do to other men. Mankind just do this to other men and other people. And the Lord is real. Yeah. And the people don't want to act as though the Lord is real. They don't want to believe that the Lord is real, only when it's, to their advantage.
Right.
You understand? Just like I look at a lot of programs, on TV, I see like Caucasian churches and they talk about, the Lord, Jesus, and this, that, and the other. They talk about believing in God. And these are the same people that won't let you come and that don't want you to live in their community, which I can understand it. But my whole thing is this. If you would fight, like you fight to take over other countries, you fight to take over their oil, you fight to take over, like leading these countries. If you would fight to ensure that the human beings in this nation are given fair, equal justice, for real. I mean, not going to court and having two different sets of laws that the judge put on the people. Right. And you see that happening right before your eyes when you go to court. A person who's elite and got money, and of the elite group, he get treated differently than one who is downtrodden And and just like she was talking about the mental health. How you gonna employ people who are maybe have a doctor and mother,
Right.
Doctor, mother, and father was raised up, under money like $500,000 a year, living in the suburb, never had a tangle or fight in their life, and then they come down to the ghetto and try to analyze you.
Yeah.
See, when I was a police training officer for the state, working at the university,
Right.
and I had asked the director, because the director, he wanted to know what could he do for me, because see, I was different from everyone else. He couldn't grab hold of me. He couldn't make me a slave to him. Couldn't inject nothing in me. And I had been taking care, basically helping people, while kind of like leading the department for about 5 years before he came. And he had put spies on me, and he just couldn't understand what manner of man I was.
Okay.
And he told me that he was concerned about me. He was afraid of me because, of my knowledge, my insight, me being a man. He called it a poet. He's afraid of poets, And he said, but what can I do? And I asked him, I said, what I would like for you to do for me is just let me become a training officer.
Right.
I said, because you hiring all these Caucasian boys, and he was a Caucasian, Italian brother. I said, you hiring all these Caucasians from other parts of the state, and you bring them here to Newark. And I'm looking at them, looking at my brothers and sisters walking around with mean faces, and they running around arresting them and harassing them because they got mean faces. And they don't understand that our people walk around with mean faces and mean appearances as a protection for themselves. See, a lot of the guys out there not really mean like that, but they pretend to be mean. So they walk around with the ugliest face, psych up themselves to believe that they are some kind of hero or some kind of strong force, because society have pushed them into that direction to do that.
Right.
You understand? And these guys is going out there harassing, So he allowed me to do that. He allowed me to become a training officer so that I could help my people in that particular Newark vicinity.
Right.
You understand? And of course, opposition came from who? My people. The other police officers. You must be brown nosing for this guy. What are you doing? Why you got this position? You understand? And I'm trying to help everybody, especially the people, my brothers and sisters in the city. Now, I had an experience, because I go back around the projects and I had people running from me, hiding, talking about 5-0. And I'm like, it took me off.
Right.
It took me off because I can understand it. When I was young, I remember guys would become police officers, and they would be some of the most timid guys.
Okay.
And when they became cops, they became some of the meanest guys. And we knew they was hiding behind that badge, that authority, that gun, that wasn't really them.
Right.
They was with a gang now, the gang of blue.
Right.
But see, I was always a sort of a lion type of person, courageous. I go out there, I didn't stand behind no badge or nothing like that. So when I put the badge on, it was like I still was myself.
Right.
So I was a little concerned about my people not, believing that I was the same person who was always trying to help them.
Right.
Because in that position, it became a war. Now I find myself battling the police and the citizens. I'm stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this is the way my people was developed, and I understood it. Once I got through the initial period of surprise, I said, okay, I understand this. They can't trust me because I got this, because I'm a police officer. I represent the authority. You see? But I still could help it. Right. I'm going to make sure that these Caucasians, these foreigners, whether they was brothers, we had not just Caucasians, we had brothers from Montclair and different cities, coming in, treating the brothers and sisters wrong, and I did my best to straighten that out. But it's just a testament to what I'm talking about. How you gonna have people come from another city,
right,
they may mean well, but they don't know, they don't have the experience of this city or this region, this area. They don't understand the mindset of the people, but they're put in authoritative positions. You understand? And then they put out there and they're not really governed. Teachers are not governed by somebody else once they're in that classroom. Right. Police officers are not governed by anybody else once they get in a squad car on the streets, on the beat.
Oh, okay.
You understand? Politicians are not governed by anybody else once they get in that office and start making private deals and doing whatever they do. You feel what I'm saying? And then personality comes out. Yeah. You understand? So how you gonna change your personality?
Okay.
I do recognize that in this particular region, you know, and not just this region, but all over the United States of America, our people have a tendency to get in positions now and they fail. That goes back to what I'm talking about, them not being properly educated.
Right.
You know, we have been taught that a person with money is right. Yes, a person with money is successful.
Or education.
You know, and education by the books, the intelligent people. But see, the intelligent people and the rich people are not necessarily the smartest people. They've been proven most times to be the worst people. That's why the nation is in the condition is in now. Right. That's why the Lord is cursing this nation.
Right.
You know, now we've been out here calling the people for a long time. Yeah. You know, we've been come against mainly by our peers.
Yes.
You know, African Muslims, you know, and I felt such a relief when my Lord said to me, don't ever let anybody say you're not Muslim because everything is Muslim.
Right.
But you're an Ahad believer.
Yes.
And you tell your people that they're Ahad believers and they're not to associate themselves with the Muslims that's have gone astray away from the path of Muhammad. Those who claim Muhammad in Mecca and the Holy Quran who has gone astray, you're not to associate yourself with them any longer.
Right.
I felt such relief because that's where my Lord put me. That's where my Lord commanded. And you know, I had such a love for my brothers and sisters coming up in the nation and in Islam, Orthodox and what have you, Islam. But I always knew they were wrong. I try to help brothers out. But you know, you could brainwash yourself. You understand? See, that education is so important. Yes. You have to have a right education. You understand? Our young brothers and sisters out here in the streets doing the killing stuff. Remember when you was young. I don't know how you was, and I can remember when I was young. Right. And I remember that when we was doing some bad things, we had reason. We gave ourselves reason for it. Right. You know, we looked at a cause and we justified our actions. Right. You know, now, if the Lord has put a curse in the minds of the children, they can't overcome that curse. Right. You can't overcome what the Lord put on you. And the Lord said that because these people are not listening to me, because they're turning away from the covenant, they're not helping me, they're not calling themselves together to listen to me, that its curse going to stay on it. You know? And some people hear me say that and say, man, this guy, who he think he is? I think I'm the messenger of the Lord Most High. Right. I believe that I'm the messenger of the Lord. I got the books. I got the information. I got the angels talking to me. I got Allah talking to me. I got Allah work between my hands. Yeah. I got all the wisdom coming out. So I believe with evidence that I'm the messenger. And what the Lord is telling me is showing me how it is cursing the people, is bringing damnation on them more and more. You're not going to change the people. The politicians are not going to change this. Your religious leaders are not going to change this. When the Lord is angry with the religious leaders, the politicians, and the military leaders, what you going to do? You got 6 billion people on the planet. Right. It don't matter to the Lord. The Lord itself is more than the 6 billion. Yes?
No, I was just, you know, while you was talking, I was recalling, you know, there's people out here that's really trying to make a difference. But the thing is, you can't come up with a solution for a problem.
You can't.
Yeah. You have to seek a.
I don't care how good that solution is. I don't care how good your plan. See, this is the whole thing, what I'm saying. We got people out here, like we harp about the, you know, Black History Month and how they call us to the White House and politics and you know, and the games, you know, like managers of sports teams and stuff, and the lesser things about the world. We harp on that. All those things are good things. But if the mind is not in the right place, if the nation is not in the right state of mind, then those things are bad. And this nation has never been in the right state of mind for our people.
Right.
That's true.
See, now the Lord come and the Lord said, I don't care what good you're trying to do. If you don't follow my covenant, if you don't hear my messenger, if you don't hear me through my messenger, then I'm going to smite you with a curse. I'm going to bring you down. Now, I got these foolish Muslims that you run around saying, stay away from him. Why is it that a person would tell another person, stay away from this guy who's trying to help you? You know, that's what the Christians used to do. When we were all Christians, they say, oh, if you read that other book, the Lord gonna curse you. That's the devil's work. They should tell us the Quran was the devil's work. Huh? And I'm quite sure they still telling Christians today that the Holy Quran is the devil's work.
Yeah.
Now, those of us who broke away from that fear, that concept, that belief, and studied the Holy Quran, said, whoa, this is just like the Bible. Man, wait a minute, but this is an extension. Oh, I can understand this in the Bible now. I can understand that what we say in the Bible. How many Christians refuse to look in the Holy Quran for themselves to discover the relativity and the truth that's in the Bible from the relativity of the truth that's in the Holy Quran to it? You understand? So you can brainwash yourself and you can try to do it your own way. But if you don't do it the way the master say do it, it don't matter.
I take the same thing that Ahezaah is giving you. When you first went out, we went to try to intermingle with those particular activity groups out here.
The civil rights group, the activists, and they all went against us.
All went against us because the plan that you bring from the Lord.
Yeah.
And it's that thing, like, it contradicts, like you was saying, our plan. But if your plan is not working, if they're not time for something new, they didn't entertain the thought of something new being tried.
Right.
That was the problem that we had what we put in the competition with.
Well, you know, the people need to understand the fact that they need to know about the little incident that took place when we went to one, like the brothers who was out there in that circle. They be so proud to look at you, and they don't see you in the ghetto, in the streets with them. You know, you got certain groups that keep hitting the newspapers. I don't want to call no names, but you got certain little groups and individuals that keep hitting the newspaper about they doing this in this playground, they doing this part of the ghetto, they doing that. They've been in jail for so many years, and they're doing this good civil deed and what have you. You know, you had certain brothers who was in the politics who had power.
Right.
Who was throwing out there, well, you know, some of y'all ain't seen out there in the fire. You know, you ain't in the streets. You know, how can you talk? Easy. The Lord Most High ain't in the streets. And his word is heavier than any word.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? But they need to know that when we did go and try to get involved with them,
that's right,
to mingle with them, we went to a couple of their meetings and we had solution because we had worked and we had helped some of the brothers who was in the game. I was in gang when I was young, so I know what gang life is. I've done some terrible things as a youngster. I know what it is to live the hard life. Grew up in the projects. I'm not a joke. Anybody who knew me growing up, they know that brother there's not a joke. He's not a joke. You know, some of the brothers who like the street doctor remember me from when we were young. You know, before he was incarcerated and learned his lesson. You understand what I'm saying? But the thing about it is, here we go, we're coming with Allah's solution. Allah's word. A divine word. A holy word. They didn't know it was divine, holy. That was for real.
Right.
But here we go. We bring some brothers who were in the gangs, like they said, for real. And they go and speak their mind about how, you know, Allah has brought them out through the word that is given me.
Right.
And by the time they can get away from the meeting back to my office, here go the police.
Yeah.
6 cars, the big police riot band, and everything setting up to try to do a raid on my office. Who had the power to do that?
Exactly.
I don't know who had the power to do that, but I know the deputy mayor, Ras Baraka, was involved in the particular meeting. Right. I think he might have had some power over the police, but I'm not sure. I'm not going to say he did it, but I know that he came to see me that Monday. But my Lord told me, I'm in the back of my office working. And Ahezaah said, get up now and go outside. I hear and I obey. I got up and I went outside and said, look. And I looked, I said, whoa. Now here, know my background. Right. I'm looking at that, I said, wow, they setting up to do a raid on me.
Sting operation set.
Yes. Right? And then he told me, he said, okay, come on in. Make the phone call. Tell your people don't come back to this office. Right. And close up and leave. And I came out and closed up. Boom, pull the gate down. Boom, locked it up. Boom. Then they looked at me and they all pulled off and went away. Now, here we go going to this meeting trying to help the city of North. Getting with them, trying to help the city of North, trying to give them a solution about how, about what Allah has given me and what kind of information that these young brothers need to have for their own sake, for their own benefit, so they can get out of this slavery of evil. They can get out of this circle of confusion. And then you got people in power sending the authorities to try to stop us, hoping that we had some wanted gang members in my office. Right. If it was wanted gang members in my office, they was in there with me trying to help them seeking help. Right. I don't have to go out on the street and talk to these brothers and try to get some nearness with them. And I'm never gonna tell any brothers that's doing wrong, I'm not trying to stop you from doing wrong. I just want to direct your wrong into this politics so that we can have a strong backing. I'll never tell brothers that the gangsters took over Nicaragua and other places in South America and ran the country. That's irresponsible. As a politician, that's irresponsible, and I often wondered how much did the government know that those words were being expressed to these young gang members.
I think they knew it was expressed because
they probably don't care because it's all a part of the doggone war, genocidal war that's against us because they want our brothers to stand confused and they want our brothers to kill like this here. But the problem with this particular area, there's certain powers that be want to change this thing up, and they can't change it up as long as the brothers keep killing each other. As long as they hear they didn't kill somebody in Newark, they're still killing somebody in Newark. And now in this week they had the article, they kill white people in Newark.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people, it don't matter. They're white people. It don't matter what they was doing. They could be just like the O.J. Simpson's wanted, who they claimed it was passing for drugs internationally and what have you, doing a whole bunch of other stuff. It don't matter. They Caucasians. They say they white, and they getting killed in Newark. Stay out of there. So it's like everything they do, man, it keeps falling on us. Because the Lord is angry with the people. And see, I'm just gonna make this statement. This city, this region of Essex County is a holy center for the new people, the new day, for the world. That's what the Lord said. That's what the Lord told me. You understand? People don't have to believe that. They can say, oh man, he sound crazy, this, he, that. They always say prophets sound crazy.
Yeah.
But the Lord said that this is what it is. And even if the devils come from Jerusalem to China, man, they come and take this over, they trying to take over the Lord's plan. It don't matter, man. We got destruction is set up for this world, man. And the Lord said, I'm going to make man destroy himself even with his own hands. And you got people that's destroying thousands of people in this nation just so that they can make the people afraid and give them support so that they can go against other people in the world.
Who of you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly succeed?